Alright, so today I have an Adamancipator deck profile for you guys. This is probably one of my favorite decks of all time, and it's definitely one of the most fun decks to play, and it can really just be pretty unfair sometimes because of the amount of negates it can put up. But it's kind of like a deck that I visit at the beginning of every single new format, just to kind of test it out, see if it's any good. And I truly believe that this format is pretty well positioned, mainly because you don't lose to Nib, Droll, or Shifter. You can play under Shifter very easily. But another thing that I feel like the deck really has going for it is the fact that it can just put up 3 to 5 disruptions on board that just straight up say negate. And there's no other deck in the format other than Yugioh that can put up more than one form of negate up currently. And this deck can put up 3 to 5, and then 2 of them are literally spell and trap negates. So realistically, you're never losing to a board breaker with this deck, and you can already play through hand traps. So it can beat the hybrid builds that play both hand traps and board breakers. It can beat the hand trap builds, and it can beat the board breaker builds. This deck is honestly really fun. I think you guys should try it out. But this specific build that I went for is going to be very different than what you probably typically see for Adamancipator. One of the two main things that I feel like this deck has problems with is, number one, sometimes you can just lose to yourself if you don't hit at the right time off of your miners. And then two, this deck has no follow-up. There's no guaranteed follow-up. So with this build, I really tried to maximize on the ability to play through missing and the ability to end on as much follow-up in hand as possible. And by doing so, I kind of took this approach where I maximized the value off of the large amount of good level 6 synchros that we're able to play. So this is kind of more of a level 6 spam more than anything, and a level 6 toolbox. But yeah, I'll show you guys what I mean by that whenever I get to the extra deck and whenever I show you guys the test hand. But first, we're going to be going over the main starters of the deck, which is ways to get to access to your miners. So we have obviously the 3 Seeker, 3 Analyzer, 3 Researcher, 2 Doki Doki. So these are these are the hard ones that you want to open, and this is probably the worst way to open, mainly because this loses to a hand trap the most. But you still want to play 2 because you want to, again, max out on consistency. Then for the other ones, you play 3 of the Wakaushi, 2 Bike, and then the 2 Bricks. This package is 100% mandatory in this deck, and I think you should 100% be playing the Soul Claw over the Soul Gaia. I think the Soul Gaia is terrible. The reason why this package is so good is because it just straight up gives you 5 more copies of any one of these, and this card allows you to go full combo without even using your normal summon at all. This is probably the truest 1-card starter in this deck, and what I mean by that is that you use this to go into the Raptite synchro. And one thing that people kind of tend to dismiss about the Wakaushi is that whenever it's used for a synchro summon and sent to the extra deck, you can just straight up place it in your pen zone. So you'll have Big Benki right here, and then the Wakaushi right here, as well as the Raptite, and a way to go full combo without your normal summon, because you put up the Raptite without your normal summon, so whatever you hit is going to be insane. And then on top of that, you can just pen summon anything in your hand, right? So this card is just really, really strong for this deck, because not only is it full combo without normal summon, it makes it so that the hands that you draw too many normal summons or too many of the suboptimal draws, you're able to turn them into extenders because you can just pen summon them. And then for the other starters, you play 3 Small World and 1 Seconds Light. This card is extremely underrated in this deck. I really love this card. This card really only truly conflicts with the Small World. If you open the Wakaushi, you just go through this before you activate Seconds Light, and the fact that you can open both this and resolve them in the same hand is honestly just crazy. But yeah, if the math checks out, I believe this is 20 copies of your starters, and in a 40-card deck, 20 cards, you're gonna see 2 of them literally most of the time. But yeah, that's it for the starters. Next, for the rocks that you want to hit, we have 3 Guardian, 3 Supplier, obviously the 2 Doki Doki, 2 Hidden Gem, and then the 1 Dragite Crystal. So these are very self-explanatory. 2 Doki Doki, I already mentioned it. You don't need to play 3. 2 Hidden Gem. I was playing this at 3 for the longest time, but I was seeing too many multiples of it, and like there were times where I was hitting way too many level 2s, and I just wanted to maximize on level 4s because I feel like the level 4s in this deck are like a lot stronger than the 2s. Another thing is that like it is nice, but since you already play like so many cards that allow you to play past interruption, and you already play so many cards that can make your bad hands better, this kind of becomes like redundant in your hand. You only play 11 rocks. I think in this build you can 100% get away with 11. I know some builds play 12, 13, maybe even 14 sometimes. I just think that you're adding way too many bad draws. And the reason why I feel like 11 is fine in this deck is because you have so many cards that allow you to deck thin. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You play 9 cards that are able to get other cards out of your deck. That way you can increase the chances of you hitting these, right? Because if you go Small World and with anything in your hand into Nib, into one of these, you get 2 cards from your deck out of your deck that you don't want to be milling, and then it increases your chances of seeing these. Same thing with the Wakaushi, and then same thing with the Sekazite. But yeah, 11. I don't think you need to play the other crystals. I have thought about playing the fire one, the Leonite crystal, because being able to end on Leonite is really nice because it can guarantee like more follow-up. But at that point, if I hard open Ash, I try to end on the Leonite. I don't think that the Raptite crystal is worth it. This is the one that's truly worth it because it gives you just a straight up +1. That's it for the engine requirements. And then for the non-engine, we have 3 Nib, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler. I feel like these are pretty self-explanatory. You have to do Veiler over Imperm because you're playing the super heavies, and this makes Small World a lot more consistent as well. Ash, 100% required. These are like 2 very generic hand traps. Very nice. The idea with this deck is that you aren't really able to play more than 9 hand traps or like 9 non-engine slots. But since you already have so much gas in the deck, the idea behind opening 1 hand trap and 4 engine cards is a lot of the times more than enough than what you need in order to break your opponent's board. This is really nice to open because it's a fire, and then Nibiru obviously because it synergizes with the deck and Small World. Next, for the extra deck, we play 1 Herald. I rarely ever go into this. This is probably a flex spot. 2 Raptite. You need 1 for the combo and 1 for follow-up. Leonite. In this version, you truly get to maximize the value of Leonite because of the fact that you play a card like Lars. So being able to maximize on Leonite and maximize on the super heavies secures that you like go through your 3 crystals, or like your 3 Adamancipator monsters every single turn. So like the turns that you get to cycle through all 3 of them are the turns that you make a really, really strong board, and of course you want to be doing that every single turn. Coral Dragon, this card is really nice, and then Vanadium Trisukta as well. So Trisukta, this is also another card that allows you to maximize your value of the level 6s, because there's times where you have a level 2 tuner and 2 level 4s, and realistically you're like, okay, what do I want to do with this, right? I don't want to commit these 2 into something that's going to, like, you don't want to commit those 3 monsters into just 1 form of interruption. What you can do is turn the 2 and the 4 into Trisukta, reborn the 2 off of this, use the 2 and the other 4 to go into possibly something like Leonite. Leonite can add you the last Adamancipator monster that you haven't used on that turn yet, and then you can turn these 2 into your Lars. Right, and that's what I mean by maximizing on the value of the 6s. There's like turns, including Stardust Charge Warrior, right? There's like turns where I have gone through all 5 of these in 1 turn. And that's because like these cards just give you so much value. Like, right, draw 1, add anything, reborn. Like there's so many good level 6s that you can play on this deck, And I truly think that like playing more of a level 6 toolbox is really just really strong in my opinion. Then for the 8s, you have Dragite and Crystal Wing. You always, like literally almost always end on this because you always get access to a Water Engrave. Crystal Wing is just in case you have like, you have a 6 that you don't know what to do with. Sometimes you end on with both of these on board, but not always. Next, for the XYZs, we have Gallant Granite, Dweller, and Lars. This is probably the MVP. Like, this card is honestly just super strong. Just straight up having an Omni negate, which is something that not a lot of decks can make right now. So I think this card is mandatory. And next, for the links, we have Masquerena, Nightmare. This is supposed to be SP. And then Asa. The only reason why you play these two is in case you have to go into Gallant Granite and you need to like link this away. I'm not gonna lie to you, in this version you barely ever go into Gallant Granite because you already get to see like all 3 of the miners every single turn, because again you're playing 20 starters, you're maximizing on the 6s, so like Trisecta into this, like you're almost always seeing access to all 3 of the miners. So I rarely ever go into this, but the times that you do, you want to turn it into Masquerena. But yeah, that's it for the deck and extra deck. Before I show you guys a test hand, I do want to kind of show you guys some more options that you can possibly play. There is the Reframing and Amritara that you can play. I don't think it's worth it to main deck this, mainly because you already end on 2 spell/trap negations on board every single turn. So having the 3rd one isn't really required. And I'm not a big fan of adding another bad card, because like the only bad cards to draw in the entire deck are literally these 2, and that's completely fine. Like in a 40 card deck, having 2 cards that you don't want to draw is completely fine, but I really don't want to go past 2, and this would require me to have the 3rd one. But I do think you can side deck this. You know, I think it's 100% worth it to side deck this. More options. You can main deck Shifter. I personally choose not to because game 1 I want to maximize on as much as I can in the main deck, and then games 2 and 3, if Shifter is good against my opponent, I just side it in. Another option, we have Cupid Pitch into Dinotherium. This package is pretty nice because you can keep the Raptide on board because you'll have a wind. Another reason why it's nice is because it does come up sometimes whenever you just have way too many level 2s. I don't think you really need it though, if I'm being honest. It's probably my least favorite package. But what you can play instead of the Dinotherium is that you can actually play the Hop Ear Squadron to search off of this, to then go into Satellite Warrior and your opponent's turn to pop anywhere from like 3 to 5 cards. So like against like trap decks that just set 5, this is a pretty broken combo. You honestly, if you want to, against like trap decks, you could probably side like these 2 with the Hop Ear Squadron, but that's just like taking up 3 slots in your side deck. I don't know if you want to do that, but these are just some cool other options I thought I'd show you guys. Now we're going to get into the test hand. So we're just going to give it a quick little shuffle. And I'm going to shuffle it good. That way I can give you guys like a good raw test hand. All right, now that we're done shuffling, we're going to give it to our opponent so they can cut the deck. Then we will draw our 5 cards: Researcher, Ash, Analyzer, Nibiru, and Bike. So this is actually a really strong hand. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with the Bike, send it to grave to add our Wakaushi to hand. Use Wakaushi effect to special by placing the Big Benki in the pen. Then we would go Big Benki effect to add our Soul Claw. Then right here, we're going to cut. Then we're going to go Soul Claw effect to special. We're going to synchro these 2 into your copy of your Raptide. Then you'll use the Wakaushi effect to put himself in the scale. And then right here, we're able to just go full combo without using our normal summon. So we're going to go Raptide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to be nib proof extremely early. So I do want to go for the supplier here. We already have researcher in hand, so there's no reason to do that. And Drageye, I don't think it's not what we want to do right now. We want to guarantee that we can get access to a guardian. So we're going to use effect to add the guardian to our hand. Give it a little cut. Then we will normal summon the guardian. Go researcher effect to special. Go researcher effect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We almost missed there, but it's fine. Go into guardian. And then from here, we will do the combo that I was telling you guys earlier. Go these two into our copy of Trisecta. Trisecta will reborn the researcher. Then we can go researcher and supplier into our copy of Leonite. And then right here, we're kind of searching for a, yeah, we want to search for the other miner that we don't have access to yet. Go effect 1, 2. We did hit the seeker. 3, 4, 5. And again, this is why I really like this variant, because like I said, you're maximizing on the value of the 6s, and like in this version, you're always getting access to all 3 of the miners. And then right here, we can go seeker effect to special effect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We did miss, but that is fine. Okay, what do we want to do here? So what I was trying to do was, if this hit, I could turn that and whatever, and the level 4, if I hit a level 4, into the Stardust Charge, and then get just a draw 1, and then turn Stardust Charge and Trisecta into the Lars, and then end on Lars, this, and this. But since we did miss, I think we have to turn these 2 into Lars. And I do want to keep the Leonite on board because we do have a fire attribute. So I think we will have to do that here. To Lars. Then we can go ahead and we can pen summon out the analyzer. And go analyzer effect. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Can summon out the Doki Doki. We won't be using the Doki Doki effect here, but we can go these 2 into your copy of the Stardust Charge. Ooh. Stardust Charge effect will allow us to draw a card. So we drew into follow. That was kind of nice. We can go Stardust Charge and the Seeker into our copy of Crystal Wing. So in this case, we had to do Crystal Wing because we didn't have a water attribute engrave. But yeah, this is our end board here. So we basically have a Omni Negate with Lars. We have a Monster Negate with Crystal Wing. It's a Negate and Destroy. We have another Monster Negate with Guardian. And then we have an Ash Blossom. And then after we use the Ash Blossom, Leonite will then get to reborn a Guardian to give us another Negate. So basically this is 1, 2, 3, 4 Negates. And then you have Ash to hit whatever. And then you have Nib to secure that your opponent won't be able to play through this if they do open like Dark Ruler. And the next turn, we will draw into another Ash. It doesn't matter because then we can pen summon out the Analyzer. So yeah, this is kind of like the type of combos that you want to be going for. Really just going through like as many 6s as you can, get as many pluses in your hand. And yeah, like this is like 4 Negates. Like which deck right now is truly playing through 4 Negates? Like right now, this format Negates are like really good. And a lot of decks just can't end on them. It's kind of crazy. But and you did this entire combo can be done actually playing around Nib, right? Because you just keep the Guardian on board. But yeah, that was it for this video. Hopefully you guys did like this video and found it informative, and hopefully you guys like this version of Adamancipator. If you have any like suggestions or any constructive criticism, I'm more than happy to hear it. But yeah, that's it.